Personalization sounds very good until it's done badly. It could very easily turn into a creepy, customer confusing and irrelevant stage, agent to agent. So customers agent versus telcos agent, they are going to communicate and then make the decision. We shouldn't be focusing on how to sell more, what product to sell more, but we should focus on understanding customers.
Welcome to CVM Stories, the podcast on customer value management. Together, we explore how companies can be more successful and the customers happier through the use of latest customer value management techniques. Learn key commercial and analytical insights from telecoms, retail, finance, and other industries that drive CVM forward.
Hi, I'm your host, Egidius. Today, our guest is Efe Aşcı, a senior manager for customer lifecycle value management and AI at Vodafone. Efe has been driving CVM strategy across multiple markets for nearly 15 years. We will be exploring what true personalization means beyond simple ARPU uplifts and diving into the exciting new world of agentic customer value management. So let's dive in. Welcome, Efe, to our CVM Stories podcast. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for the invitation.
And as always, as we start, Efe, I know that you are working in the CVM area for ages already. Could you walk us through a little bit through your career journey so that our listeners would get a little bit context about you?
Yeah, so I'm Efe. I work in Vodafone Group in customer value management area as senior base growth marketing manager at the moment. If I walk you through my career, I started in Vodafone 15 years ago, and it's been a travel across multiple markets and multiple departments. So I began in pricing and revenue management in Vodafone Turkey, and then I had a short stop in commercial finance in Vodafone Group after I moved to UK. But then I found my home in CVM, so I made another change from Vodafone Group to Vodafone UK to start working in customer value management area. I looked after churn management, retention, revenue enrichment, upgrades area in Vodafone UK, and I continued working for CVM, moving to Vodafone Group, supporting multiple markets. In the last 1.5 years, I'm working with Vodafone Germany. So for me, although it looks like a Vodafone only CV on paper, I traveled across 3 different markets plus Vodafone Group, and it seems I'm going to continue working in CVM area. So I love CVM and I enjoy what I'm doing, basically focusing on keeping customers happy, engaged, delivering more value, and also earning more value with our customers.
So, Efe, you have touched quite a lot of different areas like pricing, product management, etc. So, why CVM is keeps you so excited compared to other areas?
Well, it's a very critical area, influencing both customers and also commercial impact. Although sometimes it looks invisible in area, but it is actually a real growth engine, especially for the industries like banking, telecom, which are mature industries. For example, if you look at mobile penetration in most markets, this is above 100%. That means we have the customer base, we have the maximum base, although we are competing with other competitors in markets. Base management is a critical area for our growth. But this doesn't mean that this isn't as important as other industries where they focus on acquisition or growth. I think it is even more important for them. For example, if you consider digital fintechs, new subscription services, they usually start with highly focusing on customer growth through acquisition. But eventually they understand that they need to keep the customer happy and make them stick to their services and products, because it isn't very sustainable to grow your customer base through acquisition, because it's very expensive. Customer acquisition costs are increasing. So it's also very important to keep your customers happy and engaged with you. So from that aspect, what we do is very critical in CVM, both in telco and also in other industries.
So, Efe, I know as you worked through three really large markets, and they are all very different. I wanted to kind of deep dive with you in in basically a few topics. So, first topic is like personalization.
Mm-hmm.
So, what did you learn over those years about personalization, and what does it mean for you as a customer value manager?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's actually one of my favorite topics, but it's also very critical, because personalization sounds very good until it's done badly. So it could very easily turn into a creepy, customer confusing, and irrelevant stage if you are not doing it properly. And the customers' expectations are also rising in terms of personalization. So for me, this is not just a high FA in the email title. Personalization should be relevant to customers' need, customers' preferences, their current situation, and what they expect. For example, and also, as I said, the expectation is rising. For example, when I click the search button on the Google Maps, maybe it's laziness, but I don't want to type the postcode or address. I expect Google to predict where I'm going and see them in the top three recommendations. And this is not a rocket science, because I go to grocery store, park, gym, coffee. So if you take into account the day of the time and time of the day, you can easily predict where I'm going and show it to me there. So as I expect this from Google, our customers are also expecting the same from us. So when they log in, or even before they log in, even before they call us, we need to understand what they are experiencing at the moment and what's best for them. So they don't wake up thinking how I can engage with my telco today, but they wake up thinking, okay, is my bill higher this month? Why is it? Or I'm going to travel next week. Am I going to be charged correctly? What product I should use in Europe or US? So they have some concerns. So we shouldn't be focusing on overly on how to sell more, what product to sell more, but we should focus on understanding customers, what they are going through at the moment, and how we should communicate them. So from that aspect, I think relevance, understanding customer truth is more important than our product portfolio.
So, Efe, here I would like to be a little bit of a devil's advocate, for the last 10 years, maybe 15 years, consultants and vendors and in this field were really saying the mantra, right offer, right channel, right time. But what you say, if I understand correctly, it's totally not about this. So could you draw a little bit the line between this personalization is, the offer piece versus the things that you are trying to explain right now?
They are not completely different, actually, but there's a clear distinction between where we start. So, yes, right channel, right offer, right time, that's definitely needed and important because as telco, we have a lot of data. As I explained for this Google example, we also have a lot of data, and data is the ingredient for this meaningful communication. So, meaningful means going to the right customers with the right message, not spamming the whole customer base with a generic message. So if the data is the ingredient, yes, that's true that the recipe is the right decisioning mechanism, looking at all customers differently and having a one-to-one different stage because everyone is in a different moment in their life cycle and experiencing a different state. For example, a customer is moving from one address to another address, and they are looking for how to move their services smoothly and what fiber offer they should pick in their next address. But another customer is coming to end of iPhone contract, and they probably want to get a new one. So from that perspective, it's true that the decisioning should be personal and right channel is important. Like if we move on this cooking analogy, some like it on grill, some like it on fried, boiled. So channel is should be aligned with customers' appetite, and also the last one is the measurement is also important. So testing what we are telling to customer, whether this is relevant or not. So I'm also a believer of right channel, right time, right moment for this decisioning system. But the difference I highlight is it should start with customer. It shouldn't start with our product portfolio. If we start with, okay, I have X product and how I could sell this to all my customers, then this is a very product-oriented approach. But if we look at customer, so where the customer is currently, what they experience, what they feel, what they need, maybe they are happy, they don't need anything, they just need to stay with us with some loyalty rewards because they are happy customers. We shouldn't just go to customers always to sell more and more irrelevant products. But when it is relevant, we should definitely bring it to a customer before even they reach out to us without waiting for them to call us, for them to browse our website. Whenever we see the intent, we should put this into action.
If I would try to convert it into numbers, yes, it's like every time when I hear personalization, it's like, okay, it's about ARPU uplift. This is like a starting thinking point, you know.
Yeah.
But what you are trying to say, like, but if we start looking it from customer perspective, yes, what is the measurement that leads to ARPU uplift, basically? So what is the leading indicator, you know, that says, okay, if we try to push this metric, we will also get the ARPU uplift as a outcome?
Yeah, ARPU uplift is really the outcome, and the way going to this outcome is, I think, coming from the relevance and relevant communication. For example, if you open your inbox, you probably receive 50, 60 different emails from all different websites, your telco providers, your e-commerce websites. And probably you click one or two every day. So when you see it's relevant to you, you open your email. If the content in your email is also relevant, then you click and go to website. So if this journey keeps being relevant to you, you probably end up purchasing a service or product, which leads to a revenue for that service provider. So that is an outcome, and because you purchase this, it means you need it. So if you are not making an impulse shopping, that's probably something you need. And when the relevance meets with customers' needs, the outcome is either ARPU uplift or ARPU generation, new revenue stream is coming naturally. But if we start from, I have 1 million customers, I'm going to send an email to all of them, a fraction of them is going to convert, and I will get X incremental revenue. Yes, that's also an approach, but it isn't a sustainable approach. And over time, you will see that your click-through rates are going to decrease, your conversion rates are going to decrease, and it's just going to be another spam emails that are not opened going forward.
Efe, imagine that I'm a customer value manager and I want to change the approach and start working from a customer-centric point of perspective. How would I sell it to my management? Because if I go and say, I will increase ARPU by, pushing these promotions, it's easy. And now I'm saying, I will not push the specific promotions. I will start from what customer needs and then push the promotions, which will be much less promotions, in general, because I will not spam the whole base. But how will I sell the story? Because it suddenly becomes much harder for me to say, okay, this will be the ARPU uplift,
Okay. I think the outcome probably is not going to change too much, and probably it's going to be a leaner process. If we start with customer jobs to be done, understanding better the customer's appetite to get a new product or service, or understanding the customer's churn propensity to see they are looking elsewhere. So eventually, the customers who will get a new product are more or less the same ones compared to a mass campaigns where you spam the base. So personalization is going to just increase the efficiency at this moment, and will help us to go to the right people at the right time. So it's just going to make us a leaner organization with smaller campaign sizes, smaller operations, and smaller workload also for example, telesales agents. They don't have to call everyone. They just need to call the right segments. And we could find this out by looking at the customers and understanding their behavior. So if we start with customer jobs to be done, then it will tell us, okay, which customers are happy with us and want to get a new product. They need one product. For example, they are using the same device for the last 4 years, and highly probable that they are open to get a new one. If we go for a good offer, then this is automatically your target audience for a new device campaign. Another one, that they called us and asked information about address change, then you already have that intent, and then it's the right customer for you to talk about a home move process with any broadband offer to move their TV package, broadband package. And if you know that a customer experiencing a network issue, that's a sign that either you should invest in network, or this customer may leave soon, and you need to keep them happy with some other promotions until you solve the network issue. So starting with customers will also tell us the right campaign set and the right communication with those right customers, rather than going for batch campaigns with generic messages. And eventually, yes, the conversion will come from there, and the ARPU uplift also will come from there, because there's no point to communicate a customer with no intent, because it will be just zero zero revenue from that campaign. So by doing this, you are just eliminating the unconverted customer base, which will also show your campaigns cosmetically better by bringing even higher revenue.
Mm-hmm. Efe, if we would talk a little bit more about jobs to be done framework, yes? So, because this is like a super important thing, I would say, for those who don't understand, who haven't touched this framework, could you explain it in short how it works?
Mm-hmm. So, if I deep dive on our customer journeys throughout life cycle of the customer, there are different journeys like onboarding. They join, they need to understand what's available in Vodafone or your telcos. First 3 months, the app, what Vodafone offers. If they are a new customer, so there's a period that they need to get to know you better, and you need to get to know them better. During maturity, you start better understanding the customer and see whether their experience is going well or not, or are they open to get more services from you. For example, they joined with a new handset offer. Maybe in 3 months is the right moment to sell a device insurance because they are using €1,000 worth device, and they are currently happy. You measure the customer NPS, and then that's probably the right offer to go in 3 months at that moment. Or at the end of life, at the first contract, you will see what's next for them. Are they open to stay with us and renew their contract, or are they looking elsewhere? It wasn't a good period in their customer journey. So, depending on where they are customers, by understanding the signals that you get from the customers throughout their life with you, this is basically any web interaction, any retail interaction, any telesales interactions, you will get the signs. The critical part is to capture and process those signals, triggers, intents for us to understand, okay, what is the job to be done for the customer, and then translate this into your communication and messages for them to basically respond to your communication. So that job to be done, it's actually syncing well with your probably product and services catalog, as well as your support services, not just ARPU generating catalog, but there's also a service side of this. So whatever the customer needs, the critical part is to match it with what we provide.
Mm-hmm. And when you start thinking through jobs to be done framework, I bet that the campaign flows also get different. So if I would take a specific example, for example, if we try to sell a new iPhone, yeah, so that could be a really normal marketing campaign, for all people who have let's say iPhone older than 3 years, we push a recommendation to purchase a new iPhone because we know that between 3 and 5 years people renew their iPhones. And so this could be one approach. Yeah, so this would be a standard campaigning approach. And then if you think through jobs to be done perspective, if I understand correctly, it's a little bit more different because you think more completely of what does it mean for customer to change the device. Yes, could you explain kind of are there any differences? Do you integrate the broader organization, because it's not, you don't only need to sell, but you need to switch the device, do the transfer of your contacts, and learn how to use it, etc.
Mm-hmm. I think if we look at this from the iPhone perspective, so we want to sell iPhone, and as you say, the trigger and signals are probably in line with device tenure, like 3 years. Okay, that's a probable scenario, and they probably checked website. That's another indicator. And yes, this customer is suitable for iPhone campaign. So that's from the iPhone perspective. We could pull all of them into a one iPhone campaign that will be sent out next month. From the other perspective, maybe that same customer is also experiencing that they have an open ticket that is not resolved in their last 3 calls with our telesales team, for example. Then, on top of this, if you send an iPhone offer to that customer, then probably they say, okay, solve my problem first and then send me an iPhone offer. I'm trying to reach out to you. I told you 3 times in 3 different conversations. I repeated myself in 20 minutes calls 3 times. And now you are not reaching out to me about my open ticket, but you are sending me an iPhone campaign. So from the device tenure and iPhone perspective, that customer was a suitable match for the iPhone. But if you look at from the customer perspective, they have other priorities before iPhone. So we should solve it first, and then probably iPhone signal will come to the surface. Okay, this customer is also suitable for an iPhone campaign. So their highest priority would be something else at that moment. If we don't capture that, then we are not going to convert that customer. But from their perspective, so from one-to-one perspective, their first problem is to solve that open ticket. Second, maybe it was about a address change, make it, and then iPhone will come from third to one.
Okay. So this begins to change perspective really, really nicely, because you are solving customer needs one by one and basically making sure that it's their priority, which is addressed. Yeah. Now, when you are making those decisions, should I solve the ticket, or should I try to upgrade the iPhone, or should I maybe try to sell a new TV? There are kind of a lot of things that are happening. Who makes the decision? Is it like let's leave a little bit Gen AI world, but are you pro machine learning guy who says that all decisions should be machine learning based and AI based, or are you like, from the business perspective, I know what's the best for my customer and I want to be in control? So how do you solve this?
Yeah, when it comes to decisioning, yes, I'm a pro AI person. So because if we are talking about a true personalization, one-to-one communication, that is only possible with the orchestration of AI. Otherwise, it would be just a fragmented, segmented campaigns. There's no way that we could achieve a true personalization with static campaigns, batch, siloed ways of working. So definitely, yes, AI is the right answer for the true personalization and orchestration. But this doesn't mean there shouldn't be human in this process, or commercial priorities or guidance should be disregarded. Definitely, AI should also take into account the business objectives and commercial priorities and embed this into decisioning layer, because it is at the end of the day, there's an objective and you are using constraints, and then you are trying to come up with an optimal word that's best for the customer and that's best for the company. So this is an optimization problem at the end of the day. So if you ignore the commercial side and if you want to say, okay, I want to minimize churn, if that's the only input, okay, then AI would probably give the best and best offers, the biggest discounts to everyone. You could probably have the lowest churn in the industry, but that wouldn't be the best decision from the profit perspective. So yes, there should be human in the loop for the commercial priorities, feed the right guardrails into decisioning systems just to manage this orchestration successfully.
If you are interested in customer value management, check out our customer value management body of knowledge. CVM Book is a comprehensive guide for CVM professionals offering tips, tools, and best practices to help you in your job. Visit cvmbok.com for more.
I have a tough question for you, Efe. When we optimize something, especially with machine learning or AI algorithms in the decisioning system, there is always a KPI because this is like you need to have a number towards which you do the optimization. So how do we build that number, Because if you put only ARPU, it's really, really bad. If you put only retention, it's also bad. So how do we, what number should we put there?
Mm-hmm. I think that depends on the journey and the area you manage. I'm also a believer in IBRO, in the base management. For those who are not familiar, that's to look into all your base activities from inflow, base activities, retention renewals, and also outflow. So from the base perspective, our KPIs on cross-sell activities is the conversion to bring new services, new broadband to mobile or new mobile to broadband customer, so that this would be an incremental one customer with an ARPU of X euro for the service, for the inflow section. So for the base, that's probably your migration activities where your customers go up and down. So you optimize these up and down movements while you offer maybe bigger data bundles or bigger speed while managing this -2 +2 euro range. Same for retention and for outflow. You optimize two different things. You try to reduce the number of customers disconnecting and also their ARPU. So high value customers, low value customers. So from the commercial management perspective, all of them are critical to have an impact on your EBITDA and bottom line numbers. So it's a little bit dependent on the activity managed. But eventually, yes, all of them are serving to base ARPU at the moment and base volume. So bringing inflow, stopping churn, it's all helping for our base volume and also base ARPU, which leads to the total revenue at the end of the road.
Mm-hmm. So basically, if you want to win this game, you need to master how to juggle those basically 2-3 different variables. Yeah, it's like
exactly. It's not a straightforward job.
I thought that there will be a simpler answer. Now, as we are talking about AI and the challenges of AI, I would like to move to our conversation towards the opportunities. And the new term, of course, it's Agentic Customer Value Management.
Yes.
And I would like to ask you, how do you see the Agentic Customer Value Management? What is your definition of it?
Yeah. So As you say, the personalization has been the story so far in CVM, and what's happening right now is the AI transformation. This is literally the hottest topic at the moment, and in my every circle, that's almost the only topic with my colleagues, with my friends, even with my wife at home. We are talking about AI, its implementations, and I feel real fear of missing out because I'm not able to track every new model published, every new video models, open cloud, cloud cowork. So every weekend, every day, there's something being launched, and that's really difficult to catch up with. So that's also transforming CVM area, obviously. So both internally and also our relationship with customers. So I think internally we started seeing some new products being launched in many companies. I think, for example, we are now able to generate insights, data using natural language and prompts. So we could call this natural language CVM analytics that removes barrier for example, SQL knowledge, and everyone can get the insights and data, more information through natural language. So that's probably the simple piece, optimizing our internal operations. The second part is the workflow automation. So we can remove the frictions, reduce the dependency to some legacy systems by automating certain CVM workflows. That's again happening right now in the world, and we are seeing examples. But this is still an internal one, helping us to increase efficiency in our job. What's important, I think, is how our relationship with the customers is evolving. So, if I give you an example from my experience, in the past, I used to go to booking.com, use the filters, 8 stars, 9 stars, with that price range, blah blah, and then filter and sort the hotels to select. Or for restaurant selection, I used to go to Google Maps, narrow down the area, add my keyword, and then look at the reviews, scores, etc. But right now, I'm going to ChatGPT or Gemini, asking, okay, find me 3 restaurant recommendations, no tourist trap, real local dishes, blah blah, and then I follow the lead from the Gemini. So this customer behavior change is also happening in telco, so our customers. So the critical question is, how are we going to adapt to this change? So there are different routes on this one. One is, yes, customers are going to stay like as is. They will visit our web or app, use standard grids that we ranked, or our MBA recommendations. They will do their own research. This was based on the old behavioral economic studies influencing the customer's decision, etc. What if, yes, we see more and more traffic coming from AI models, because I'm also tracking the competitor websites through AI right now. Okay, bring me the best deals from the market. Check O2, EE3 websites. Yes, the customers are also doing this. So then, how is this going to change the relation? Because AI is rational. So far, all the studies were based on customer decisions are not rational. So it's a complete paradigm shift at the moment. So the interaction is changing. The third option is maybe we will have our own AI concierge in our channels through maybe chatbot, through WhatsApp, or just our homepage will be ChatGPT like window in the moment, and all our decisioning will come through this screen. And the fourth one probably is agent to agent. So customers agent versus telcos agent, they are going to communicate and then make the decision. Probably this is the last one we will see. But I believe the first one is already happening. Second, third, and fourth one, we are going to see this shift. Are we ready for this? I don't think so. We are yet ready yet. Everyone is working on this. I'm seeing lots of different industry examples. There isn't any clear right answer or blueprint yet, but we will probably follow this path, and everyone is trying to find their way in this journey. So if I summarize, probably the external and internal bit to win in this era, I think we must turn our external channels into an AI concierge just to adapt to this customer behavior change and start preparing for agent to agent commerce because that will be also happening in the e-commerce area. That's the same thing. And secondly, the internal CVM agents for our execution, optimization, decisioning. We should continue deploying internal CVM agents as well to help us. But although I say this, humans should continue staying inside this loop. So I think, yeah, the human in the loop is not just a slogan. I think it's good business. We shouldn't leave this completely to AI. I don't know if you have seen. I saw that was it Meta or Google security head of AI security gave access to OpenCloud, couldn't manage and stop them from deleting all their inboxes. So we should be still careful to keep humans in the loop.
Yeah, I agree that we still need humans in the loop. But I really enjoy your vision. And could we dream a little bit about this agent-to-agent part? Because kind of I, as a very early adopter of all these AI things, for me, it would be like the best thing if my agent can go and talk with the telco and get me the best deal, you know? And one thing which you mentioned, which was not obvious for me, is that the agent is actually rational, or the rationality for the agent depends basically on prompt. Because if I, as a consumer, if I purchase an iPhone, I start thinking, okay, maybe I need more storage, maybe less, maybe with better camera, even though I only take like 5 pictures per month. It's like a totally irrational thing. And if suddenly this would be managed by my agent, I bet that my bill would be smaller,
I believe so.
And what other challenges here will appear, because maybe the moving from one carrier to another might become slightly different, if my agent decides to move me. What will happen, what other perspectives that you are thinking about,
I think, yeah, this brings simplicity for both the customer and also telco as well. Things are more automated. Maybe we don't need this much change to respond to competitors, to respond to changing customer demands or business pressure for the commercial performance. And as you say, agent can really optimize it depending on the objective you give them. Okay, check my usage phone need and find me the best one, the cheapest one. It will definitely find you the cheapest one you need. So probably this could also simplify product portfolios as well, and eliminate the need for complexities for this base and product management from the telco perspective as well. And as the decisions are also taken by agent on that side, so this would probably speed up the change, time to market, in terms of bringing the right offer set for the agent APIs, whatever we will feed them at that time. So I think it will come with simplicity and operational efficiency as well, both for customer and telco.
Mhm. And I know that predictions are really kind of tough game. How soon do you think we will see the bigger shift towards this agentic interface for the consumers? Because now we can like get simple answers through the AI interfaces, but it is still very, very limited. It's more like just an easier search type of thing, rather than I am doing everything through this interface type of thing.
Mhm.
How soon do you see this adoption?
Yeah, if we phase them, I expect that we are seeing and we will continue seeing more and more through existing channels, such as most telcos have their chatbots, web chat channels. So that's probably the easiest one to embed first. So maybe our standard journeys will stay as it is, but existing chatbots will start using it through AI, and it will help you iterate instead of you go to handset page and then basket page checkout. So you could probably do this on our web chat interface. This shouldn't take too long. I think this will probably be the first step. And another existing channel would be like WhatsApp or other text-based channels. The other, like I said, the website transformation, that would probably happen or not happen. I think if you have other alternative of that, probably this wouldn't be too soon, because if we consider the digital transformation before those webs and apps, we had shops, other channels. They all still remain, but we have other channels at the moment. And I think, yes, the current ones could stay, and we could add maybe these interfaces within those channels, and the evolution could be happening there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're saying that both stores and the websites will still be here for some time.
I guess so. But we will be able to do all this stuff through other interfaces.
Mm. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm still really keen to try out the new ones, So, FM, we are moving to the final stage of our conversation, and I have a couple of questions that I ask every our guest. And the first question is about the proud moments of your career. Could you share some wins that you are very proud of?
I think I could add my transformation of UK retention journeys. So when I was in UK CVM team, we started that personalization shift from more. We used to have an outdated legacy systems more a product-oriented approach, less personalization across all channels. I was in the center of this transformation because what made it personally important is that I wore two hats during this transformation. One, I was the commercial spoke who gave the requirements, built the roadmap, built what we needed. And on the halfway through, I moved to the POC to lead and deliver the transformation. So I first ordered the food and then I moved the kitchen to help serve it. And eventually what we delivered is basically a very good personalization in our digital app, retail and telesales channels, along with UI upgrades for our frontline stuff as well. So in the past, when you log in on our website, you used to see a standard grid in the same rank for all products. But today, as I mentioned, we are capturing all these intents. We are using big data models, AI orchestration. We embedded commercial layers. So when you log in, you are seeing some personalized recommendations together with reasons for recommendation. It's not just a recommendation. We are telling, okay, we see you are roaming. That's why we are offering you this, or because you are browse this phone. Here is the best phone you would like. So together with reasons for recommendations. Most importantly, the assisted channel agents have a very simple, minimal UI where they see details about customers, historical engagement with us, their recommendations, again, reasons for recommendations. Or during the conversation, customer stated, oh, I don't want iPhone, I need Google Pixel. So this input could be easily embedded during the conversation, and with one click, agent could just refresh all these recommendations and come up with, okay, Google Pixel. Or if the customer said, I need an entertainment Netflix in my package, this could be easily embedded into recommendation logic, and this is being refreshed. So compared to the old world, this was a big transformation that we did, delivered a couple of years ago. So I'm proud of this. And then since then, we are also sharing this together with other Vodafone markets, and also with the industry. We presented this a few years ago in the Pega World as well to all other telco and industries. So when I considered my career history, this was the best delivery in my career.
That sounds super exciting. Can I ask two more questions here?
Of course.
So, when you did this transformation, did you manage to measure how the engagement from the client perspective changed, and how the satisfaction of your assisted channels changed? Because it's like people who are giving those offers, the great user experience matters as much for people who receive the offers.
Yes. We measured both. Both before the launch, so before launching, we had a very careful ramp up period. Like 50% of the customers used to see the old, 50% was seeing the new one. So we measured all the critical metrics like engagement, conversion, time spent. So all of them was very positive from the customer perspective, including the commercial results, like the both volume and value wise, because when you have more relevant offers, the conversion increases, and then you could also optimize your recommendations based on the value objectives. That was the first one. From the channel perspective, the reaction was even better from our assistant, just because the old system was very heavy. So they used to go through a long list of products. Not even, for example, iPhone black, iPhone green, 256 gigs. So they used to navigate through so many different variants. When they have this very clean, minimal offers together with refined by options, together with indicators of their commissions. For example, they used to calculate what they earn in the past, but now they see which offer is bringing how much commission for them, together with the commission indicators, together with the impact on customer. Like this is same with a better price, this is more with a slightly better price, this type of indication. So that really reduced average handling time, that improved the telesales conversion, ARPU, and also most importantly, the satisfaction. So we received so many good feedback from the channel as well.
And I bet that the channel guys started getting better bonus, yeah?
That's true.
So, Efe, it's a really great success story. Over those, I don't know, more than 15 years probably in this field, I bet you had some challenges as well, or let's say stories from which you can learn. Could you share one of those?
Yeah, that was a difficult. That's a difficult one. Not because I don't have any, I have many, but which one I should pick? I'm in between one. There was one Apple launch, and I'm not going to talk about the Apple launch. I think yes. One of the objective we have is also driving digital mix across channels, because customers are adapting more into digital, and it's also a channel where you can manage easily with going live and taking things off, and also it's a cheaper channel, so there are lots of reasons to prioritize digital. So once I was very obsessed with the digital mix KPI, and I launched. I did actually what I suggested we shouldn't do, which was I went with a mass campaign to drive customers to digital for an online exclusive campaign. The result was great in terms of digital mix. So we hit the peak point in terms of digital mix in our retention renewals. But at the same time, we saw a peak in churn numbers as well. So literally what I did was to trigger customers to go to online, check all the prices, and take an action after that. So I realized that, okay, when we look at the KPIs, we shouldn't look at them isolated from other dynamics. So if you talk to customer, again, that comes back to the point of relevance. This should be relevant. If you bring them into your shop, and if they can't find what they need, then that means they could also check other areas, and they could leave you because you invited them to take an action. So that was the lesson I learned. Also, the good part was that we are measuring the results. So we spotted this very early. If you compare this against the control group, so the control group churn was much lower, although their digital mix was also lower. So that was a good lesson I got at that time.
So you basically won and lost at the same time.
Exactly.
For people who would like to join this exciting journey of customer value managers, what would be your recommendation for learning sources? Like, how do you prepare yourself for these challenges?
I think, like everything else, the best way to learn is practicing, which means on-the-job training. But this doesn't reduce the importance of theoretical information, industry best practices, what other companies do. So I think for those who want to learn more about CVM, I would suggest focusing on certain journeys they like, for example, onboarding, customers renewal, and go deep dive in this to understand the customer truth and basically identify how we could do this better. So if they are working for a company who is doing CVM, maybe working together with them, bringing this up to new project would be a great way to start. But if they're already in CVM area, definitely looking outside is very important, because sometimes we would be so focused on what we do, and then we forget about what's happening in the industry, how we could do things differently. So there's a lot of great learning opportunities outside as well.
And one final toughest question for you, Efe, is we are on a mission to make customer value managers famous. And what should we do to make them famous?
That's a great question and great mission. So that's why I really like what you do with this CVM podcast series, because usually the work of CVM is a little bit invisible, although it has a very big impact on the business. And the second thing is that CVM output is usually seen as numbers, not like stories. But we have stories as well. So I think the platforms like this are a great opportunity to tell transformation stories, to tell CVM stories. And that fame comes from the stories. So I think like being having an analytical mindset is important in CVM, but also storytelling is as important as analytics. Given that, I believe we should produce more fame assets like this podcast, maybe case studies, benchmarks, sharing sessions across the industry. We already do this within our company, because we have so many different operating companies in it, and we are doing best practice sessions, and it worked really well. For example, we say, okay, Germany has that challenge, UK has delivered this very good, let's bring them together to share best practices. But this is also possible across the industry and markets. So all these assets and sharing this is very useful, I think, to make CVM more famous.
So learning how to tell your story really, really well, yeah?
Thank you.
So thank you, Efe. It was a really interesting conversation. Thank you for sharing really deep insights.
I thank you too for this opportunity and inviting.
CVM Stories is produced by Exacaster. We help companies take their customer value management to the next level. To stay updated on our latest episodes, subscribe to the podcast or sign up for an email newsletter at exacaster.com/CVM Stories.